Honorable Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice Sharma ji, Justice Goel Saab, Justice Roy, Munna Kabir ji, Mantri ji, sisters and brothers and dear children. It's a very important occasion today. I said it earlier. But these seminars and conferences, I have a mixed feeling. I feel enormous strength when the galaxy of judges led by the Chief Justice of the country are with us and join the fight against child trafficking and labor today. That brings enormous hope. Many of you were marching, but those who did not march and came only for the conference, let me tell you that the Chief Justice asked not to flag off only, but to march with the children. And this is not an exaggeration, Lordship, that every single of your step you put down on the streets of Guwahati against child slavery and child labor, you have put the marks, your footmarks, your footprint in the history in the fight against child labor in the country. Nobody else has done it before. I'm very moved. But these things make me angry. Why? We were marching with the girls who were sold in lesser price than the animals. They were given rosy dreams to go to Delhi and other places and earn good livelihood. And they were abused, beaten up, raped. I was talking to some of those girls this morning and yesterday. Most of them say, we are no more children. A girl has been kidnapped at the age of 4. When she was found by her father, she was already 16. She was with us. After 12 years, she lost all the memories of childhood and she could not recognize her father. Most of the girls say that they are no more children. Who has stolen their childhood? Who has robbed of their freedom? Such a beautiful song, we have dreams, but millions of the children of this country don't have any dream. Who have stolen away their dreams from their eyes? Somebody, somewhere. Human beings and systems are responsible for that. And that anger, if something happens with your own biological child, what would you do? Can you sit quiet for a second? I was always thinking that if it happened with my own son, Bhuman, what would I have done? I could have not sit calm for a quiet 1 minute. And today this is happening with millions of children in this country and worldwide. Friends, all of us know, child labor is not an isolated problem. Trafficking is not an isolated problem. This is consequence of many problems, but this is also cause of same problems. Child labor is the consequence of poverty and illiteracy. But child labor is the biggest cause of poverty and illiteracy as well. If you allow child labor to continue, you allow poverty to continue. Intergenerational poverty rather. In the whole world there are 215 million children in full-time jobs. And over 200 million adults are jobless. In India, according to non-governmental statistics, about 6 crore children in jobs and 6.5 crore adults are jobless. In South Asia, 8.5 crore children are in full-time jobs, 8.5 crore adults are jobless. Who are those adults? Very parents of these children and brothers and sisters are kept unemployed because children become the cheapest source of labor and you can exploit them easily. So child labor causes unemployment and poverty and illiteracy. We are living in the era of global economy. But that global economy is driven by the globalization of knowledge and information. And if you allow child labor to continue, you put a bar on this. And if the children cannot enter into the mainstream of knowledge and information through education, they can never get justice anywhere in the world. They cannot be an equal partner in your global economy. So it's a vicious circle of poverty, child labor, and illiteracy. And somewhere in between, the trafficking is a process which, or missing, so-called missing children. India has a serious problem of missing children. Where these children go? They end up somewhere in slavery-like situations. Child labor is definitely a crime. And it has to be dealt into a criminal context. And that's why the judiciary from the bottom to top and top to bottom is must. Child labor is a human right violation. And all the policies and programs and laws and everything which is meant for the welfare of human being, the human right, child rights is an overarching element. It's the worst form of human right violation. Child labor is a development deficit. If we adults, as ministers, as chief ministers, as prime ministers, as social workers, as lawyers, doctors, if we fail our children in their development, then we fail the whole nation. Why not we think of a child-centric development model? Why don't we think a human right-centric model to bring the upliftment of children? Child labor is an unethical business practice. Because children are the cheapest source of labor, it begins from that. And the number of people benefit out of these children. The long supply chain. Now India is an open economy. Every day we are opening up. That's good in a way, for many people. But if it is subcontracted and further subcontracted and further subcontracted, the whole process of manufacturing of goods which are sold in the global market, they look for the cheapest and most vulnerable workers, and they are children, women sometimes. So it is a fuel for unethical business practices and which have to be stopped. But most importantly, the fifth element in this discussion is that it is a collective social apathy. It's a collective lack of social concern. We may have knowledge, we may have laws, we may have good people, but if we don't have that heart which brings the sense of urgency, which brings the sense of honesty towards our children, not always for our biological children, but every single child born in this country or on this planet is my child. That passion and that urgency is needed. So that's why child labor may be a complicated problem with 5 different or 6 different or 10 different elements. But it is the elimination of child labor is possible. It is achievable. And many countries, many societies have done it. We can do. If we have good policies, substantiated with adequate resources and honestly spent. if we have action in the society, if the children are being trafficked from your station and you keep quiet, how would you do justice to this country? Why you sing this national song? Why you go to the temples and churches? If you allow this to happen from your station and you keep a blind eye on it, we cannot be a good Hindu. We cannot be a good Muslim. We could not be a good Christian. Jesus says, let the children come to me first. And he sets very first time, what is the priority? Priority are our children. That is something which we needed. It's possible. If we have education, just as Honorable Chief Justice was mentioning the education law, we have right to education, not only law but the constitutional guarantee. Where is it? If these girls and boys who are working as domestic help in Delhi, where is that law? We have to see that these legal provisions are properly implemented. And that also linked with the comprehensive application of the law where the rehabilitation, the statutory rehabilitation has to be the part of elimination of child labor. Government of India agreed. In fact, the cabinet has agreed on a new law that is going to, or an amendment in the law which is going to put ban on all forms of child labor up to the age of 14 and going to ban hazardous forms or worst forms of child labor up to the age of 18, making it cognizable offense and so on. But my humble proposition here or request here, it's not the court, it's Bhuvan who goes to the court, but here I would think, or Fulkaji go to the court, but here we strongly feel that the statutory rehabilitation clubbed with elimination of child labor is important. A proper monitoring is important because if you have a lot of inspections and the inspections are not translated into the prosecutions, and if the prosecutions never translated or very slightly translated into conviction, then what is going to happen? 0.1% conviction, 0.2% conviction, not even 1% conviction anywhere in this country. We have to think that how this could be changed under the leadership of one of the best human beings we have now in the top judiciary, in Justice Kabir. I hope that in coming months, the country will see many important judicial steps to protect and secure the future and the present of millions of children in this country, including the whole issue of missing children and trafficking and slavery and child labor and whatnot. We are very, very hopeful and even confident. The march today is the beginning. I'm going to sum up with a strong hope that though it's for awareness building in the society communities, it is also helping in sensitizing the media, it is also helping in sensitizing the bureaucracy, the politicians, the common people of Assam, hopefully. I have long experience of marches. I am fortunate to organize the biggest ever march in the world, that was 80,000 kilometers march, which went across 103 countries globally. And being the convener or organizer of that march, I'm proud to say that Nelson Mandela has flagged off the march from Africa in 1998, and it has been joined by 70 head of the nations or head of the states during the march, including President Clinton and Tony Blair and President Chirac and India's president and so on. That was the longest ever, the biggest ever social mobilization, which was joined by 7.2 million people who put their thumb impression or footprint, demanding that there should be an international law to combat the worst forms of child labor. And the Bachpan Bachao Andolan, which has initiated the global march against child labor, has been successful, not only galvanizing and mobilizing political will globally, but also a concrete result was the unanimous adoption of a new ILO Convention on Worst Forms of Child Labor, that is ILO Convention 182. And that the whole idea, this idea was originated from the people, very ordinary people like me, that why not we have an international law to combat the worst forms of child labor. I spoke to my colleagues in Mukti Ashram in Delhi, which Ben Minnaji has visited, that why not we have a march across the world and demand that there should be an international convention or international law. And when it grew up, it has become such a big movement that no country could deny. At least 2 of these children who marched with me across 100 countries, they are sitting here and marching with us. And when they entered in the General Assembly of International Labour Organization, for the first time, the ministers and prime ministers were crying because they have not seen this happen. And when one of the children said, please give us one thing, we don't want tools in tiny hands. We want books, we want toys. We don't want child prostitution. We don't want child slavery. We don't want child trafficking. What we simply want from you guys, we want education. We want love. We want care. And I again call upon you and appeal all of you as father, all of you. Most of you are fathers and mothers. Most of you are sisters and brothers. Most of you are uncle, aunts, grandparents. Some of you. But definitely, each one of you was a child. And a child may be still in you. And I call upon that child right now to stand up in whatever position you have, that Assam will not allow any girl to be trafficked, to become slave and sold in other parts of the world, other part of India. That should be a promise we should take after the end of this day. Thank you so much. Thank you.